Well, everybody, it's that time of the week again. I'm here to tell you something about the podcast. The lighter did not light. And so, thanks to Silicon Valley and the beautiful team of people at Cupertino, California, I am lit. Anyway, there's some weird medical stuff that might happen in this podcast. If that's not your deal, we're going to have a little thing in there. You'll hear it. Fast forward if you don't like it. But it's quality entertainment, folks. That's what you're here for. On to the show.
Hi, and welcome to Old for My Age with Cassie, who's me, Cassie, where we talk about the lighter side, dive into the deep end, have a few laughs and snacks in between. This week, I'm excited to introduce our guest, Jenna, who is also known as Blake's hot wife. Jenna, say hello.
Hello.
This is your official podcast debut.
Wow.
You made a guest appearance as an NPC for our last episode, but today it's all about you. How do you feel?
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. I'm glad you're here. So we have a lot that I want to cover today. So we'll try to hit it all.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see if you have anything you want to share. Have you watched anything recently? Have you listened to anything? Books, movies, TV shows, any recommendations?
This isn't necessarily a rec because I've only watched 2 episodes of it, but I kept getting an advertisement for Only Murders in the Building.
Love it.
And I kept thinking they were saying Ollie Murs in the building.
Oh,
like
yes.
the singer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, that's funny. I wouldn't think they would make like a documentary about him. And then I found out it came up on the Hulu and I was like, that's not what they said. But it's good so far.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you been watching?
I watched The Bear, which is on Hulu. You've probably seen it.
The restaurant.
Scrolling. Yes. Which I started it because I was like, hey, I don't have very much to lose. It's 25-minute episodes. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was very anxiety provoking.
How many seasons are there?
1. Just 8 episodes right now.
Oh.
So it's a good binge if you want something not so heavy.
Yeah.
And then there's a show on Hulu called The Reboot. That just came out yesterday, I think.
What's it about?
It's a Hulu original. Wait, it's hard for me to say that without giving anything away, but it's about like a behind the scenes type look at a writer who is rewriting a reboot of a show.
Oh.
Like an early 2000s sitcom.
Oh, okay.
But there are a lot of twists and turns,
Ooh.
and it has a very interesting cast, and yeah, it's been pretty cool so
That's
far.
good.
Only 3 episodes, so
Nice.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
yeah. So you're married to Blake,
Mm-hmm.
who is a recurring character in both my life and on the podcast.
He's popular.
Next month will be 2 years married.
Mm-hmm.
And how long were you guys together before you got married?
Like 4 years,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. 4 years.
How long did you live together before you got married?
Close to 2, I think. 2 and change.
I think that's something that is really interesting to me. Maybe it might be interesting to our listener, is about, I don't know if you noticed any changes since, oh my gosh, I just can't speak today. What I'm trying to say is you guys lived together before you got married.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you personally, was there a big difference in that transition between just living together as, in a relationship, engaged,
Living
marriage?
in sin to
I know.
being
I
married.
did too, girl.
I felt like there was a big change like after we got engaged, and I think it was because I was like, okay, like not that it wasn't permanent, but I was like, okay, like he's stuck with me now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like no, when we went back to our house after our honeymoon, I was like, this is kind of like what we've been doing.
It's just the same.
it felt the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, I pretty much was the same.
Yeah.
I really didn't notice too much of a difference, but before we got married, we had already bought the house like a few months before we got married. And I think a few months before we got married too, we had combined our finances, which is a little bit different than I think how a lot of people do it nowadays. So,
Yeah.
but that's what worked for us at the time. I don't know if it works for us now, but
So when you were buying a house together and you were not married, did you feel like you got like pushback from people?
No, not at
Everybody
all.
was like, you guys just want to buy a house together? Cool.
Yeah, and I don't think we got any pushback at all.
Cool.
Are you talking from the professionals or from our family? Or
Mostly
both?
the professionals, but both.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, professionals, they were all on board. I mean, we got really lucky with our house, so
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate for that. And yeah, no,
Cool.
it was also like during COVID, during COVID. So I think it might be a little bit different than how things looked before COVID and how they look now. So I don't know, but
I guess that's pretty conventional though. Like people buy houses.
Yeah.
Unmarried couples buy houses all the time.
All the time.
Or people that are not in a romantic relationship. So
I think maybe it might have been a little bit different because we were so young.
Oh.
I was 22 and he must have been 25.
Mm-hmm.
So probably a little bit younger than the typical home buyer that they see on a
Sure.
day-to-day basis. So they probably, I think if I do remember correctly, they kind of talked things down a little bit. Fine with me.
yeah, you're like, I did not understand. So thank you.
I'm not going to say it to your face, but thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you and I both had COVID weddings.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really like how you did yours. And
Thank
if I
you.
could go back in time, I would do something like that.
Yeah. If I could go back in time, I would have done that from the get-go.
Yeah.
Which we rented an Airbnb on the beach, and we had 15 of our closest friends there, like staying in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had like a big weekend party, and we had like 30 guests total, and it was perfect. And rather than our original wedding plan, which was to have like the big to do and have like a venue and a plate, like whatever. I mean, it was great. Like it's what I wanted.
Did you have all that booked?
Yeah.
Did they give you your money back?
Yeah,
That's good.
most things we got a refund on. We lost like a couple deposits, but like I'll say like that industry is an industry that got hit hard during COVID,
yeah.
right? And like everybody that I talked to and everybody that we had worked with was so accommodating, and they were so willing to help us. Like our photographer like moved our date probably 3 times, and the only downside, which like wasn't even a downside, was we had ordered enough cake for like 80 people from this bakery, and then when I went to like move the order and stuff, I was like, hey, like I actually only need cake for like 30 people. And they were like, okay, well, we can't like downsize it, but we can just move the date for you. And I was like, okay. So we had 30 people.
So was the cake already made?
I don't know. I mean, probably not, but I get it. Like they already had the money.
They needed that money. Yeah.
They had the money. I get it. It was fine. But anyways, so the upshot was we had 30 people.
A lot of cake.
But so much cake.
That doesn't sound like a bad thing
No,
to
like
me.
if that was the worst thing that happened, I was like, this is fine. So I was just like sending plates full of cake with people.
I would be too.
Take this.
You know what you should have gotten? Tupperware for their
Yes.
what are they called? Party favors.
Yeah. Just a plate full of cake.
Here's some cake.
Yeah. You had a COVID wedding.
I did have a COVID
But did you
wedding.
have to reschedule? And
No. We didn't have to reschedule, so we got married in January of 2021, and it's something that I still have a lot of guilt about. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
guilt in what way?
I just felt so guilty for going through with it, you know, because the vaccine, I think at that point was just about being distributed to people over the age of 65, but none of my grandparents were able to get it in time, and we had it. I got it over with. It was what it was. But the few weeks following the wedding, I was a mess because I was just so anxious and sick and worried that someone was going to get sick. But it was just a really tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
And if I could go back in time, I would have done something more like you did. Something small, not spent all the money because it was so much money.
How different from your like original wedding plan was like the thing that you actually carried out? Like, was it different at all?
It was different. So I wanted a wedding, right? I wanted the dress. I wanted, a bridal party.
Right.
But I didn't really care so much about having a big wedding. I just wanted something. Logan comes from a family where they have pretty decent sized weddings. So that was something that he wanted, and he wanted the big wedding. So we got the venue, we planned for the big wedding, and then his family from New York weren't able to come down. So I think we went from an estimated about like 130, 125. I don't even know how many people actually showed up at my wedding, but what I do know is that there were many people who RSVP'd and then didn't show up. So I still had to pay for.
So you had plates full of cake too.
I did have plates full of cake.
Is that a bad problem to have?
No, it's not a bad problem to have, except for when you're paying like $1 bajillion per plate.
Per plate, yeah.
Which is what it felt like. Obviously, it wasn't that much, but yeah. Fortunately, the venue was very good, and
That's good.
they worked with us, and
Yeah, that's great.
I'm glad. I never want to do that again.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. I always tell Blake, like, my second wedding is going to be way different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I will never have a second wedding.
Yeah.
No, I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I do think about, like, I feel so sad that Logan missed out on that. And we were up in New York, and I was jokingly saying with his family, like, oh, maybe we'll have a 5-year vow renewal and everyone can come down for that.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like, girl, your ship has sailed. Like,
I was going to say,
yeah.
like, I feel like the closer you get to that, you're like, I'm not doing this.
No.
Because we had talked about doing, like, a courthouse wedding, like, totally scrapping the ceremony and stuff.
Yeah.
Doing a courthouse wedding, and then, like, once COVID, like, went away, doing, like, a party. And I was like, I feel like by the time we get there, we're going to be like, I don't really care. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
And that's another point of view too, is, you know, I just kept saying, oh, maybe we should just hold off for a couple months. Well, it didn't go away. I mean, it's still here,
exactly.
right?
Like, how long would you wait?
We're nowhere near where we were with
Right.
COVID, but it's still
Right.
alive and spreading, you know?
Right.
And who's to say that it wouldn't have been even worse if
Exactly.
we had waited 6 months, because all of the variants, and it was spreading easy, and
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. So,
Yeah, I get it. Done and dusted. Hey, you got the ring, you got the man.
yep.
It's fine.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah.
So we've been spending some time together lately. Not as much as I would like to spend time with
Sad.
you, but we've both been very busy, of course.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have recently done is hot girl walks.
Yeah.
But special edition, Target and Aldi, which might have been more fun for me because it was air conditioned, but
Sure.
I think doing stuff like that is very important. And although I am co-workers with your husband, it is
That's right, colleagues.
nice. And by co-workers, I mean podcast.
Yeah.
We don't actually work together.
In your professional lives.
And yes, in our
Day
this is just like
jobs?
our more professional life.
Yeah.
Like this podcast is.
Would you
even
consider
more-
this your day job or your side hustle?
This is my side hustle.
Okay.
All I do is cook food and open my mouth. Josh does everything else. Sometimes I'm afraid of what will come out of my mouth, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Word vomit. But yeah, Blake and I are good friends.
Mhm.
Started out that way,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you are the icing on top of that cake.
Thank you.
The extra cake that you had from your wedding.
Mhm.
And I think female friendship is very, very important.
Yeah, I do too. But we go on hot girl walks, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And I did appreciate the fact that I just texted you out of the blue one night and I said, hey, do you want to go on a hot girl walk? And like without batting an eye, you were like, yeah. And I was like, okay.
Which, if you were a betting woman and you were surrounded by any of the people I know very well, they'd be like, no, she'll say no.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity to become friends with someone new.
Yeah. Get some exercise.
Yeah, that's not so much a
Not the
selling
goal.
point for me, but it is a plus, I guess.
Sure.
Although I did get some nasty blisters from our
did.
walk. My body, okay, I need a doctor other than Jenna to answer this question. By the way, Jenna's a doctor. Is there such a thing as being prone to blisters? Because if there is, I think I've got it. Or is it because I just am not an active person and my body rejects any type of physical activity? Because when I work out inside at the gym or when I do spin class or anything, I'm fine. But the second I do long walks or strenuous activities outside, I end up with mad blisters.
Can see how the sweat
Yeah.
plays a part in that. And the shoes.
Just another reason for me not to go outside.
Sure. Add to the list. But when we go hot girl walks at the park, you do okay? No.
Better
Yeah.
than the first one we did, which
Yeah.
was outside in the straight up sun.
I think you gotta break the shoes in. There's something to that too.
Those were my work shoes, Jenna. I broke those in for
broke the
like a
shoes
year
in.
and a half.
I don't know then.
I just think I'm just gonna say I'm prone to it.
It sounds like a cop out. It sounds
I
like
can't
you
say that
don't want
that's,
to exercise.
That I can't say that's false.
Okay.
But you are very strong.
Maybe.
And you are training for a Captain America.
An
How is
Iron
that?
Man.
Oh, sorry.
close.
Which side did you take on that Civil War? Because for me, it was Captain America.
I can't. That's over my head.
I
That's
forget you're
reference
not a
I don't
movie
get.
person.
Yeah. But yeah, I am training for an Iron Man, which is not a Captain America.
Should be.
Yeah, could be.
Iron Man is dead.
Yikes.
Spoiler alert.
Does that mean I don't have to do it?
So tell me about that. Pretend as if I am someone who knows nothing about an Iron Man.
Do you know nothing about an Iron Man? Like, if I asked you what is an Iron Man, would you be able to answer that?
Okay, I think. Is it a triathlon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is this the one where it's 26.2 miles, or is that just a marathon in general?
So, yes to both. So,
Okay.
a marathon is 26.2 miles.
Yes.
And the run leg of an Ironman is a marathon. So it is 26.2 miles.
So you're doing 26.2 miles plus biking,
the other stuff.
plus swimming.
That's the part I can't like wrap my head around.
Is the swimming?
No, like to put it all, like you do all that and then you run a marathon. Like that's the part that I'm like,
F that expletive.
yeah.
That sounds awful. And you're paying to do this?
Yeah. Do you know how long the other legs are?
Have you seen a psychiatrist about this?
Probably should. Do you know how long the other legs are? The swim and the run?
Probably too long.
Or the swim and the bike? The swim is 2.4 miles.
2.4?
Mm-hmm.
That's not terrible.
No.
And
then the bike.
But it's in the ocean.
It's in a lake. Well, they'd have them in oceans.
It's in a lake?
They have them in oceans.
Brain-eating amoebas. No, thank you.
But isn't that... Well, I guess.
Isn't that for dogs, though?
No, it's for people. People die from brain-eating amoeba.
It sounds
Brain-eating
like a risk.
Amoebas.
Risk you're just going to have to take.
This is why I no longer swim in large bodies of water. Now, this is the time for you
Sounds
to
like
ask me,
another
have I
cop-out.
seen a psychiatrist?
And then the bike leg is 112 miles. My face, exactly.
I just don't know why.
And you have to do all that.
Can I ask you why?
So it's like, so I started doing triathlons when I was in college. There was like a triathlon club at my college, and I did like a short one, and that was like probably the first time I ever heard about an Ironman, and I was like, there is no way. Like that's like that. Like have those people seen a psychiatrist? There's no way.
Yeah.
And then I worked up to like doing a little bit longer of a triathlon, like it's called international distance. And then it was actually Blake's idea to run a marathon somewhere in there, and then. So it kept growing on itself. This is the kicker. So then I was in PT school.
PT means physical therapy
school. And my good friend sent me a half Ironman training plan, which is like half of that distance, right? And she was like, look at this. Like, wouldn't this be fun? And I was like, that looks crazy. Yeah, let's try it. So eventually I did a half Ironman, and then that wasn't awful. And then that was probably 4 years ago. So anyways, this year I started training I had a marathon that I had deferred from COVID, and I was running
That was
the
earlier
distances.
this year, right?
Yeah. So
The
I
one
ran
that you just did?
In March. I ran a marathon in March. And for the first time, those kind of distances like felt comfortable, like the 20 miles, the 18 miles running. Yeah, I know. And I was like, this is kind of cool. Like it feels really comfortable. And so then I was like, maybe I really could make the jump to a full Ironman. And so I did a half Ironman about a month ago. Again, didn't die. And then I was like, okay, this is it. And the thing is I feel like once you've trained for the half, you're mostly there. You might as well just keep going. And so I don't have a great idea of how it's going to go. I hope I finish. That's like the end goal. So, but yeah, for the first time, it was like I started there. I was like, this is crazy. There's no way. And then I kind of built up to it, and I was like, okay, maybe this really is possible. So that's where I'm at.
It's just insane to me that you would pay to put yourself through this
I
torture.
know.
But I'm excited for you to do it.
Thank you. Me too.
Not for your own reasons, for my reasons, of course.
Which are?
So that once you're finished, you'll start going to spin class with me.
That's true. So you go to spin class the 2 days a week that I do my like medium
Your
rides
real
outside
biking,
and
yeah,
so
for real people.
I
Yeah.
can't. It's not. I would argue that what you do in 45 minutes at spin class is harder than what I do.
I think you would have to
2
attend
hours.
a spin class before
We'll see.
making that statement.
Yeah.
Although Karen is a real G. Logan and I, Blake and I
Who are
haven't
you?
been.
Who
is it?
Who are you married to?
You know, that also brings up a good Jenna and Logan got to meet each other for the
They
first time
did.
today.
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Logan just wants to come home.
Okay, wait.
Hang on, she's coming. Alright, I am very late to pickleball. Nice to meet you.
More importantly. Anyways, Blake goes to spin class with me.
Mm-hmm.
Logan originally used to go, but now that he has a different work schedule, he can't go anymore. So Blake agreed one day, and then we just kind of kept going, but we're not very good at always going. We need to get on more consistent schedule. In our defense, both of us have had crazy schedules lately.
Sure.
I have no valid excuse for yesterday. That was just the alarm went off and I was like, girl, I don't want to.
You were like, no.
So as a fallback plan, is that the correct term? I'm not sure. We both Venmo'd Josh $10, and if we don't go to spin class tomorrow morning, then we don't get that $10 back. So hopefully the thing is I'm really convinced that if we get into a good routine, that nothing will stop us from
It would be a
going.
habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we enjoy it. We have such a good time.
Yeah.
But it's just waking up that early.
Just have to make it a habit. Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried that with Blake. It didn't really work out too well.
I know. That's different.
That's another thing too, is there are a lot of similarities between us and a lot of differences.
You and
right?
I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're both very strong women and we have very strong personalities. And how do I say this without making myself seem like a terrible person, but very good at keeping our partners in line.
Yeah.
I can say that for myself. I think I can say that for you too.
I try.
But Blake is a different breed.
How so?
I just really don't know what goes on in his head sometimes.
Yeah. Can you give me an example?
Can I give you an example?
Yes, Josh, please give an example.
So yesterday, when we were going to make the shirts, he was like, yeah, we're going to go to Jenna's mom's house and we're going to make the shirts. And I said to him, I said, Blake, do you have any of the materials to make the shirts?
Yeah.
Granted, he was off at 5 too from working. So that he was like, no. So I was like, okay, so let me go get the materials to make the shirts.
Yeah. He's all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
You gotta love that about him a little bit.
Yeah.
No,
I do.
I
just Logan is his own way of ADD, right? He was diagnosed with ADD as a child.
Okay.
But his ADD is much different than Blake's ADD.
Yeah.
But there are very few people that I feel like I can have a true conversation where I don't have to put on this mask or like personality or really control my thoughts with, other than Blake, because it doesn't matter what comes out of my mouth. What nonsense. He'll match that and then some.
Oh yeah.
So
he's so funny. So we just went to go see my brother and my sister-in-law and their 2 kids, and he like equally sits on the couch and watches football with my brother, Blake does not watch football.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit and play Pokemon with my 11-year-old niece. Like he's like on it. He's like, what do you want? I'm there,
Wow.
which is great. But then I agree, his planning.
yeah,
Sure.
Execution.
Yeah. But if you give him time, he'll get it. He would have gotten the shirts.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I said when we first brought Blake on the podcast was that I didn't understand how the two of you got together.
Yeah.
And I got my first hate comment about that, by the way.
Oh,
because I was saying
remember.
Blake's hot wife, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I think the internet assumed that I meant Blake, you're an ugly piece of garbage.
You
How did
didn't
you
mean
end up
that.
with a hot wife? No, but I can understand why that maybe people who saw the 30-second clip might have thought that. But it's interesting to me. I didn't get it before I met you. I was like, how? This woman's a doctor. She's athletic. I've never even met her because she's always doing some sort of physical activity. She's got her life together. How did you two end up together? And then I met you, and that was one of the things I said in the Blake's episode was that you're funny. You have a vibrant personality, and people like being around you. So it just made sense to me how the two of you.
Thank you.
I think it's still like a good mix.
Yeah.
Right? Someone's got to rein it in.
Yeah. But also, like, if it weren't for him, I would be so go.
Yeah.
Right. And he's the one that's like, I need you to sit down and we're gonna do something fun, and like we're gonna be spontaneous, and we don't need a plan. You know what I mean? Like
Which is like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, mine too. But I think that's important. So like, just as much as like he needs somebody to like rein him in, I need somebody to be like, slow down.
So
for
it's
a second.
really good balance.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. So I need him just as much as maybe he needs me.
Yeah. But I have a hard time saying that because, I think you would excel no matter what. But as I said earlier, I support women's rights, but I also support women's wrongs. So,
yeah.
So we're going to dive into the deep end. But before we do that, I wanted to do a taste test of the Coca-Cola Dream World. I had originally got this for Blake and I to do, but apparently he already tried it.
Yeah, cheers.
And I am a soda person, but you're not so much a pop person. You like how I did that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. You have not had this before.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Should we?
You haven't either,
3,
right?
2, 1. No.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's better than the space one. Did you try that one?
No. I like this.
Yeah, I really don't hate it.
I don't know how I would describe it, but I like it. We had a mystery.
It's almost like a cherry Coke.
Mystery Fanta yesterday.
Like cherry or some sort of flavor. I don't know.
Yeah.
A Nerd's Rope. It tastes like a Nerd's Rope.
I don't know that I would go there. But I see where you're getting that. It is like fruity.
Yeah.
I like it. There's no description, huh?
Savannah said it has a lot of peach in it.
Oh. Georgia. Them Georgia peaches.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it.
So you are a pelvic floor physical therapist.
Yeah.
Now I need you to explain that to me as if I were a third grader.
So if you went to your doctor and they wrote you a referral for pelvic floor physical therapy, what do you think would happen? Like, you would make that appointment for the pelvic floor therapist. What do you think would be
Well, I
waiting
think I have a good
for
idea
you?
because, I am a TikTok
Yeah.
connoisseur.
Yes.
And there are a few pelvic floor therapists who, come about the For You page.
Right.
And just a little disclaimer for anyone listening. I'm going to talk about what one of the things for pelvic floor therapy is, which is pain during sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to hear about that, maybe fast forward. I don't know. So one of the things that you do is you talk to people who have pain during intercourse. Bladder control you also handle, and you also handle constipation too, right?
Yeah.
It's very wide.
It's wide.
Very wide.
Yeah.
But you also do general PT too.
Yeah.
Sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
What would you say the makeup of your schedule is?
It kind of
like 50-50?
Yeah,
or?
that's like, I mean, it kind of goes in waves.
Okay.
Right now, I'm probably like 75% pelvic,
Okay.
to be honest. So you were spot on. I treat all those things.
Yeah.
So your pelvic floor, for those that don't know, is like a set of muscles that sits between your two pelvic bones, like a bowl or a sling. And it helps you, like, when you need to go to the bathroom, to be able to do that. When you want to have intercourse, both men and women, bowel movements, having babies and all that, right? And so it has a lot of responsibility, right? And then it also can go wrong. Things can go wrong with it. And so I treat the muscles of the pelvic floor just like you would go to therapy for your shoulder, your knee, or anything like that. It's like really similar techniques. I just focus more on that body part.
Now, I know that wasn't what you wanted to go into. You originally thought peds, right? Pediatric. But then you did, I think if you told me you did like half of a rotation, you were like, heck no.
I spent like half a day in a peds clinic and I was like, I can't do this.
And pelvic floor was nowhere in your mind.
No.
And then you did it and you were like,
this is
the rotation,
sweet.
I mean.
Yeah, it was nowhere in my wheelhouse. I didn't know about it until I was in physical therapy school. And then I got scheduled with a pelvic floor therapist for one of my clinicals and I was like,
heck
nobody
no.
else in this program wants that. So I went into it and I was like, that was great. Not for me. I love that for somebody else.
So everyone is fully clothed the whole time?
No.
Yes.
Well, so I always leave it up to the patient.
Okay.
So there are some diagnoses or like some symptoms that may warrant.
Sometimes you have to put your finger up someone's bum.
Yeah. So I did the first clinical and then did the second. Got scheduled with another pelvic floor therapist. Yeah. Right. Not one wasn't enough. So they gave me another one. And I was like, okay, actually, this is really cool. And I do want to do this. Some diagnoses, some symptoms warrant a pelvic exam, either rectally or vaginally, depending on what sex you are or what symptoms you have. But I always leave it up to the patient. Like, I'm like, this is what would give us the most information. And this is what this might look like. But I'm going to leave that up to you. And I would say like 80% of the time, they're like, yep, let's do it. No problem.
That must be an interesting experience.
Yeah.
My immediate thought, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not, I'm just going to say
Probably.
it. I am super sensitive when it comes to people's odor.
Oh.
Do you have to smell stinky people?
I guess I don't notice it. That's the truth. I really don't notice.
Yeah, I think that would be what would prevent me. I would be so scared I would have to smell someone else's odor.
Yeah.
Like, in general.
I guess it's not really something I notice.
Maybe I should talk to the psychiatrist.
Yeah, it's not really. And then like people are always like, oh, I didn't shave, or like, oh, I didn't whatever. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking at. Like, I'm not interested. I care infinitely more about what your muscles are doing. So that's the goal.
That's it. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. That's what you're here for. So
what would you say the hardest part about your job is?
I think the hardest part is when I have women that come in with pelvic pain during intercourse, and both situations, whether they've had a pain-free intercourse before, it's fine, and then all of a sudden it's not, or that's what they're used to and that's like all they've known, trying to teach them like, this is where your pain is coming from. Like we found it, like this is where the problem is, and this is the stuff that we can do to make it better. But what I need you to do is to help me like not be so, which is easier said than done, like not be afraid of it. Yeah. Right? Because I think sometimes what happens is, especially I see this a lot in women, it happens in men too, but they get stuck in this like vicious cycle where it's like, it hurts when I have sex, and so then I brace for the pain, and since it's muscular, it's going to hurt more, and then I just get used to that. And so your body, I think that their bodies anticipate it, and then it's like this, we got to work through that.
And it's very, I think you and I have had a conversation about this before, where there's a large psychological aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
I truthfully don't think I could do what you do. Honestly, I really don't think I could do it.
I think you could.
I don't think I could. I think that the conversation, like, I don't know, I don't want to call myself a prude.
No.
But I think I'm going to call myself a prude.
It's tough. It's hard to...
I have a hard time talking about stuff like that, especially just intercourse in general, intimacy in general. So I think that would be very difficult.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you do it.
I have had to fake it till I make it. I have a hard time saying the word vagina, which is funny, but I've had to like fake it till I make it. And I think one of my instructors told me, like, you as the clinician, like you have to just be so confident in the things that you're asking and the things that you're saying, because if you're not, they're not going to be.
Exactly.
And so if you would have told me my first day of PT school, like, hey, one day you're going to have to sit with some women and ask them what kind of sex positions they're having sex in and like stuff like that.
Oh my God.
I think I would faint. In-depth conversations about the sizes of their partners. Like I would have fainted, but then it's just been like practice, and I'm like,
you're just so used to it.
This is what I need to know. This is what we need to do.
Now, here's another question.
Sure.
Because you talk about it so often, do you ever find that your approach isn't as soft as it needs to be?
Sometimes.
Or how do you work on that is really what I'm asking.
I assume that every pelvic exam that I do, men and women, I just go in with the assumption that, like, worst case scenario, which might be that they've experienced some kind of like sexual harassment, sexual assault, right? Okay. And so I over explain everything, or I try to, right? Yeah. I try to over explain everything. I want them to be so annoyed with my instructions by the end of it. Like, this is what, like, can I do this? Is it okay if we do this?
Than angry.
Infinitely. Yeah. And then obviously, like, if I see people for multiple sessions, then they kind of get the gist of it, you know, and then I can tell that they're more comfortable with it and stuff like that. But especially the first session, my goal is like, I want you to be so annoyed with me by the end of this because I'm over explaining and like over asking for consent.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now I have another question. I don't know. I'm just gonna throw it out there. What about trans people or non-binary people? Have you had a lot of experience with that?
So I have.
Or some?
I haven't.
Okay.
But there's a big, like, that's a big need. Yeah. Right? Especially for people that have gender affirmation surgery, or even just in general, transgender people that struggle with getting care like that. I mean, that's a big need for that. So
I wonder, are there enough training resources out there for you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good literature and there's a lot of good classes. Maybe not. So I have not treated a transgender person, and so maybe they would say, like, actually this care kind of stinks. So yeah. But it's definitely something I struggle with, where I do think I assume that the person in front of me identifies as like the gender that they pass as, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of really good content creators, like on TikTok and Instagram, that talk about like clarifying that, right? Yes. And clarifying like the gender of their partner, and clarifying like what kind of intercourse they're having. And so you ask, like, is it something that I think I get stuck, or maybe I get, what did you say, over comfortable, or
or I don't know. I don't really know if I worded it the way that I was trying to communicate,
less soft. But I think that's an area. I think that's an area that I struggle with, is like assuming like the heteronormative like cisgender identity, right? Which is obviously like not the case. Like, not everybody identifies like that. And so that is something that I struggle with, and I do try to work on.
You know, another point too is you've never had experience with that. So how else are you supposed to know until you learn? Sure. And I know that should that ever be the case, that whoever it is would be in great care with you, because I know that you would make sure that they're comfortable. So
thanks. But I think a lot of providers should or could do better at,
just in general,
Yeah, like clarifying those things. What kind of pronouns do you prefer? You know, like what kind of partners do you have? Like stuff like that, right? Which I think I don't do the greatest job at. So it's a struggle.
But you haven't had the opportunity to really show what you can do too. So don't knock yourself. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think what you do is so fascinating. It's cool. And I definitely don't think I could do it. So thank goodness you're out there doing it. I will stick to my job. The coolest hands down part of my job is when I see a woman during her pregnancy and then she comes back after pregnancy and the baby comes with her. And I'm like, give me. That's why we do this. This is another topic too that we talked about recently. Since we've both been married, you're hitting the 2-year mark next month. I'm hitting the 2-year mark in January. And we're at that point where everyone is just all up in our business.
Don't ask what camera are we at. Don't ask women when they're going to have babies because it's none of your business.
It's not.
That's all. I think that's all that needs to be said. If you think it's your business, it's not your business.
Wait until they bring it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wait until she's like in the hospital and you're like, do you want to have kids?
Are you pregnant? I know you're holding that baby, but
is that one yours?
Is it? Yeah.
And then when they have one, don't ask when they're having another one.
Yeah.
Just leave them alone.
I think I might be a one and done type of gal.
Yeah. And like, you don't have to decide right now.
But I'm going to say something mildly offensive. My husband's an only child. And there are some things that he does and he'll do them and I say, oof, that is only child syndrome.
Yeah.
So that's my only fear on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
No. Just don't ask.
Yeah. Don't ask.
Yeah.
But now I want to ask you.
Do I want babies?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Was that wrong of me to ask?
No, because we're like friends.
Oh, okay.
But like a stranger, I had a guy last week said, how many kids do you have? And I said 0. And he said, what are you waiting for? And I was like, do you have time? Do you have time for me to make the list? Like, we don't have all day. The polarized caps to stop melting.
I am waiting for
to pay my debt off.
Daycare to not be $275 a week for an infant.
Yeah. There's a formula shortage, I'm told. I don't really...
Diaper shortage.
I don't have a firm understanding of breastfeeding. I feel like maybe that would help a little before I had a baby.
I think that might be one of the things that you learn.
I have another thing.
What?
I went to the gynecologist.
Good for you.
Last year for my checkup. And the nice young woman that was doing my intake said, oh, now that you're married, do you want to like stop your contraception? And I was like, that was an assumption. I was like, no. I would prefer 2 methods actually if we want to get technical, but I guess no. Anyways.
Yeah, that must be a tough spot for them to be in because I guess it is your job, right? To ask people about that.
But maybe a different way.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you still happy with your contraception?
True.
Contraception? Do you want to make any changes today? Not
True.
like the assumption that, last
You're
time
married?
you were here,
time to start pushing
you were
them
single.
out.
You were single and living in sin. And now you're married and of childbearing age.
Can you believe in your chart there was just a big red note that said slut? And now they just took it out and now they're saying future baby maker question mark
is available for prenatal care. Anyways.
All right, time for the Muppet Lego.
Whoa.
Girl.
That
was a frisbee.
Okay. Are you familiar with the concept behind the Muppet
I'm
Lego?
familiar with the concept. I understand the assignment.
Great. I'm going to hand this to you. You get to guess which one it might be. If it's a duplicate, you can keep it.
Wow. Who do you have so far? Quite a few.
So it looks like we have Gonzo, Beaker, Dr. Honeydew, Kermit, Miss Piggy, the Swedish Chef, Animal, and I still can't remember that old guy's name.
Oh, we have a new.
We have a new
friend to the party. Yeah, he's a dog.
Wait.
What's his man?
Ralph.
Yay!
We got a new one. Wow.
Why are there 2 heads?
Time for the snack attack.
Oh.
Delivery, please. Interesting. This doesn't look like a regular Oreo. There's specks in
Are
it.
you being punked? I had a full dream about cookies and cream ice cream last night.
It's snack attack time. Jenna chose Oreos. The Oreos were provided to us by...
There are specks.
Josh.
Are we confident this is not toothpaste?
No.
It's not toothpaste.
Are these Pop Rocks?
They are indeed. They are the firework Oreos.
And that's what they're doing. That's incredible. That's an experience. They're good though. They don't change the flavor. Just the
I know. That's why I was so
experience.
confused. I was like, this tastes like a regular Oreo.
You can hear it.
You can? Whoopee. Well, don't know why you opened it like this, you psychopath.
I didn't see it. I didn't know where it was.
So, Jenna, we're going to wrap things up here. I wanted to see if there are any, closing remarks
No.
that you might want to share.
No. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. What an eventful day we've had.
Yeah. We talked a lot.
You met Logan?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was insane.
Did he cry? Because I cried.
Maybe. I don't know. It could have been the sweat. I don't know. Maybe he was just so nervous.
The backstory to that, because I feel like that doesn't always
that is
carry
important.
over, is that there are 5 of us couples,
Five couples,
that are
yes.
together frequently. However, over the last 12 months, Logan and I have never been in the same room at
Right.
the same event. Like, not by our own choice. It just didn't happen until tonight when I was at your
Because-
house.
Yeah. You guys are both very busy people, busy lives, busy schedules. I get it.
Yeah.
And then somehow Blake and I always end up
Together.
getting paired up.
Yeah. So, but that was exciting.
I'm glad it happened.
Me
Now
too.
that weight is off our shoulders.
I know.
We don't have to worry about
I
it
feel
anymore.
better. I was nervous.
And we got a first look out of it.
We did.
It was better than my first look at my wedding. and
Really?
what I assume is your first look at your wedding.
I mean, it was close.
So thank you everyone for being here. We're going to end things really fun in a great fun, super fun way by Jenna giving me an adjustment on my back.
Mobilization.
Hey everybody, Blake here. Just want to let you know if this is not your deal, then fast forward this many seconds.
Take a deep breath in. And breathe out. Good. Breathe in. And out.
I don't know why it makes me laugh. Have a good day. Have a good life. Have a good year. I hope that you get to spend some time with people that you love and maybe go see a physical therapist. I don't know. Toodaloo.